Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to Friday of week 3. Another week of remote learning nearly down. We've only got today. Well done, boys and girls. I wonder if you've been watching the Olympics and enjoying seeing all the cool different sports on your TVs. I know I have. I'm going to read a story to you today, which is about the Bush Olympics. So my story is called Koala Lou. It's written by Mem Fox and it's illustrated by Pamela Lofts. Let's get started. There was once a baby koala so soft and round that all who saw her loved her. Her name was Koala Lou. The emu loved her, the platypus loved her, and even tough little koala claws next door loved her. But it was her mother who loved her most of all. 100 times a day she would laugh and shake her head and say, "Koala Lou, I do love you." It's nice when you hear somebody saying that they love you. Whenever she stretched in the early morning sun and climbed a gum tree or bravely went down the track all by herself, her mother would smile and say, "Koala Lou, I do love you." The years passed by and other koalas were born, brothers and sisters for Koala Lou. Soon, her mother was so busy she didn't have time to tell Koala Lou that she loved her. Although, of course she did. Every night as she curled up under the stars, Koala Lou thought about the times when her mother had looked at her and said, "Koala Lou, I do love you." And she longed for her to say it again. One night, Koala Lou had a splendid idea. Preparations had begun for the Bush Olympics. She would enter the Olympics. She would compete in the gum tree climbing event and she would win, and her mother would fling her arms around her neck and say again, "Koala Lou, I do love you." It's a good plan. Koala Lou began her training right away. She jogged and puffed and lifted weights and panted. She hung from a branch with one claw at a time till she ached. She did push-ups till her stomach hurt, and last of all, she climbed the tallest tree that she could find over and over again. Well, she's doing some good training, that Koala Lou. She's getting prepared. Sometimes her mother would watch her and ask, "How you going, Blossom?" "Fine, just fine," Koala Lou would reply. At last, the day of the Bush Olympics had arrived. Ooh. How do you think Koala Lou's going to go? Koala Claus had also entered the gum tree climbing, and everyone knew how fast she was, but Koala Lou wasn't scared. She saw her mother in the crowd and imagined her saying again, "Koala Lou, I do love you." Her heart filled with hope. She knew that she could do it. It was Koala Claus who went first. Her climb was record-breaking. 22 metres in 70 seconds flat. The spectators whistled and cheered and wildly waved their holiday hats. "Can I do better than that?" thought Koala Lou. "I must." As she stepped towards the tree, a hush fell over the crowd. "On your mark," said the kookaburra. "Get set, go!" Koala Lou leapt up onto the tree. Up and up and up she climbed, higher and higher and higher. Faster and faster and faster, until there she was, right at the very top. The spectators roared and clapped and stamped their feet. I think she did pretty well. But she wasn't fast enough. In spite of all her training and all hoping, it was Koala Claus who won the gum tree climbing. Koala Lou came second. Koala Lou went off and hid. She heard the shouts of the Bush Olympics and cried her heart out. Poor Koala Lou. When the first stars of evening appeared in the sky, Koala Lou crept home through the dark and up into the gum tree. Her mother was waiting for her. Before she could say a word, her mother had flung her arms around her neck and said, "Koala Lou, I do love you. I always have and I always will." And she hugged her for a very long time. Sometimes you need a big hug from Mum and Dad. Oh, and that's our story of Koala Lou. Okay, now it's your turn, boys and girls, to do some writing. I want you to draw a picture first. So you're going to do our draw, talk and write like we've been doing all week. You're going to draw a picture of what you think could be the hardest Olympic sport. So there's lots of different Olympic sports. You might like to have a look at what they all are. Have a think what could be the hardest Olympic sport and draw it. Talk to Mum or Dad about what you think would be the hardest and why. Why you think that sport would be tricky. Then I want you to write a few sentences about what you think is the hardest sport and why. So you'll see on the slides, I did an example. So I chose archery. I drew a picture of somebody doing archery and aiming for the bullseye. And I wrote, I think archery would be a hard Olympic sport because you need to have a very good aim. You would need to learn how to be really still and calm to try and hit the bullseye. Okay, so remember, you need to draw what you think could be the hardest Olympic sport. Talk to Mum or Dad about it and think about your reasons why it would be the hardest sport. Then write a few sentences about it. Can't wait to have a read about what you think could be the hardest Olympic sport. Have a great day, boys and girls, and be good listeners for your parents. Bye.